Elle Duncan, fresh off her marathon trip to the big city, the Sports Emmys, the SBJ Awards. How many did we win?
Of which one?
Collectively.
Maybe 7?
The number's still 0?
No, we didn't. Where did you make this up that we didn't win? Did you watch either one of them?
I just meant for us.
Okay. Oh, for SportsCenter?
For us.
Oh, the Elle Duncan Show?
Yes.
Oh, big fat 0. Are you joking?
Damn it. Somebody was late with the submission,
Welcome
I believe.
Welcome to the Elle Duncan. Can you imagine? What would our submission tape look like? The Elle Duncan Show with Gary
It looks sick. But at the end of 2
and
minutes,
the
they'd be like, what are
award
we
for
talking
the
about?
best raggedy song that was created to hype up a running back.
Come on.
The Bijan Bounce.
A request directly from Bijan to be in the next video, to which we will certainly make do with, and we will make that happen this summer.
Cinema. The Bijan Bounce is still my kid's favorite song.
As it should be.
I don't know if that says much. They also like Kids Bop, which is trash. So
It's in the name. It's a bop. They're all bops. Are you serious?
I don't have a great musical palette.
Stop it.
Welcome everybody. Welcome in. Yeah, man. I'm tired. I'm not gonna.
You've been
lie.
grinding for real.
Yeah, cause I'm out here grinding. We had the Sports Emmys.
Is that Akon?
Of course it was.
I love Akon. I love.
Yeah.
Quick story about Akon. Growing up in middle class Thornton, Colorado, and Locked Up came on one time. My best friend was like, man, I really love this song, man. It really reminds me of my childhood. I'm like, bro, what?
In Thornton?
In Thornton? Bro, what are you talking about? You have a 3-car garage, dude. Like, your parents drive you to school. What do you mean Locked Up makes you think of your child?
Yeah.
You're so stupid. Anyway, finish your Chick-fil-A. Yeah, dude. I'm like,
Right.
dude, what are you talking
You have a Citgo gas card that your parents just gave you. No, you didn't struggle at all.
Out of Akon.
I am struggling, though, a little bit. I got to give a quick shout out because, no, we didn't win all of the Emmys that we probably should have at the Emmys. I don't know how these things are voted on. That's cool. I'm just telling you, there's no way that either NFL Live or SportsCenter or PTI are not the best show on sports television. But that's cool with me. That's cool with me. It's fine. We love baseball. That's fine.
Oh.
I'm just saying it's cool.
do.
There's just 0 chance. But I want to give a shout out to Mina Kimes, who was nominated for Best Studio Analyst. And this is all I'm going to say, apart from the fact that the announce cart called her Mina Kimes. So you have lost someone from the Korean delegation. She is now in the Hispanic delegation. But I will say this.
I'm not going to give her up that easily.
I know, you can't.
No, I'm going to
star.
fight for her.
Yeah, you should. All I care about and all anybody needs to know about Mina Kimes, because these statues really don't matter. I mean, they don't, you know. Speaking as someone who has one on their fireplace.
So a plaque.
And a plaque.
You have a plaque, girl.
It's at my parents' house. Mina Kimes can't be overstated, her significance and impact. Like, she is a one of one in her lane, and she has inspired an entire generation of young girls to be audacious enough to say, there is more for me. Like, I don't have to only be relegated to sidelining or hosting. I can be an NFL analyst. And they only know that because Mina Kimes is. And so there is no statue that equivocates her impact. And, like, that's all that matters, is that Mina Kimes has been an absolute inspiration. And, like, we are now going to see 20 years from now girls that will grow up and say, I knew I could because of Mina. So I hope she understands that that's more important than that little gold statue, although it's pretty.
Sure. And it's not very little. Those national awards kind of big.
Them things are monsters.
Those do make nice little backdrops.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just saying. And
Yeah.
Mina's home set up. I'm just saying
Nice.
there's some space on the shelf. But many will be coming her way for sure. And I actually saw that firsthand when we were at the Rose Garden a couple of weeks ago. And she was she was the #1 stopped person.
Of course she was.
Like,
yeah.
from the front of the pack till they started, playing the violins and asking us to leave. It took us 45 minutes because she was literally the most stopped person.
Yeah. She's a superstar. Mina Kimes is the Caitlin Clark of NFL media. She's a trailblazer. She's a trendsetter.
Correct. She's getting bullied.
Well,
people are saying.
Although,
people are saying respect her more, or all of it's going to be taken away.
Oh my God. I think that maybe the one difference between Mina and Caitlin Clark is that Mina had like no learning curve.
Sure.
She just kind of came out of the gate like real good. But we're seeing, as we continue to check in on Caitlin Clark, our obligatory segment on Caitlin Clark,
as we must.
A weekend, 5 games under her belt.
Yep.
The Indiana Fever are 0-5. But I watched the game last night from the car on the way home from New York when they were playing the Seattle Storm.
As a passenger.
Not
driving, not multitasking, although you are super mom, super wife, of course.
Yeah, but not dangerous.
Firmly in the back seat.
Sure.
Okay.
Sitting in the back, trying not to fall asleep, but watching this game. And, we have been saying and preaching that, like, it was going to be incremental growth and you were just going to look for little things. This is not a Fever team that's going to compete for a championship this year.
That's
correct.
It's
just not going to happen, and that's okay. But when we talk about her specific to the game and like how she continues to progress, she had her best game as a pro last night, and yes, another loss. But she had only 2 turnovers. That's been a thing, like her first game, she got her points. She was not efficient at all, and she turned the ball over a historic amount of times. Her second, that was a blowout loss to the Sun. Her second game, blowout loss to the Liberty, didn't score very many points, cut down on the turnovers. Faces the Liberty again, had her at that point, best game, much more efficient, still had some turnovers, but was still impactful. This was the most complete game. And then again, they were in that one. They were in the game against the Sun, and they were in the game against Seattle. So they went in the course of 1 week, 5 games in 1 week. They went from getting blown out of the water of these games to competing until the very end. I mean, they had a real shot to beat the Sun, and they had a real shot to beat the Storm yesterday. And so we're seeing like the growth curve,
Correct.
But you're watching some of these things, and it's funny because I talked to Andrea Carter about it. Like, some of these turnovers are just teammates not anticipating the pass or learning how to play with her, We talk about how she has Patrick Mahomes-like vision in terms of the court, and sometimes they're not ready for that. This is a team that hasn't even had any practice opportunities, really, because they've been playing so much. So it's a work in progress. It is a work in progress, but we are seeing her start to get more in her bag, as evident by yesterday when she wasn't lighting it up in the first half, but in the second half, she started sort of creating her own shots and doing her thing and driving, and she was instrumental. I personally think there was some personnel decisions in terms of when they were playing people that were a little questionable by Christy's sides. I wasn't sure why Aaliyah Boston played 12 minutes until the very end of the game. I wasn't sure why Caitlin was catching a breather with 4 minutes left in the game. Like, pretty sure Caitlin didn't want to be catching a breather at that point, but again, like, we have to see the forest through the trees. Like, if you're talking about how she's going to project as a pro, we are seeing her come together, which is why I'm so incredibly confused by this consistent rhetoric around people hating on Caitlin Clark. Like, I feel like I'm in the twilight zone, Gary, because I thought we had sort of left a little bit of that behind. I thought that we had sort of closed the book on this idea that all these bitter Bettys are trashing Caitlin Clark and they should be more grateful to her and more thankful to her. I thought we closed the door on that when it was confirmed that it would be a learning curve for her, that she would have to progress in the WNBA, that the competition is better, that everyone underestimated the talent around her. And now we've got LeBron James and Charles Barkley, a friend. I love Chuck. I love him. He's the best. I texted him when he won his Emmy over Mina Kunis and said, good job.
You don't deserve it. Give it to Mina.
Give it to Mina Kunis. But all of a sudden, we've got this sound. It's like every few days, we've got people weighing in on a subject that I feel like we had closed the book on, but apparently we have not. So here is LeBron on his podcast talking about the narrative around Caitlin Clark, and then Charles Barkley co-signing it.
Don't get it twisted. Don't get it f***ed up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on nothing that's being said. Just go have fun, enjoy, But I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. I hope she kills. I hope Aaliyah Boston does amazing. I hope they do great.
Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world.
Oh, you are.
Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes. Listen, what she's accomplished, give her flowers. Stop being petty, all you women out there.
First of all, I'm going to adjust my mic here.
Oh, she adjusted the mic.
First of all,
Hair in a ponytail. She's ready to go.
LeBron is right. He has been there before. He started out his career
Takes
0-5.
one to know one for sure.
0-5.
LeBron.
He started out his career also 0-5 because the Cavaliers were in a position to pick number 1 overall because they weren't particularly good. And I don't remember anyone at that time going, man, y'all need to take it easier on LeBron because he's going to be the face of the league one day. And if y'all want all this attention, y'all going to have to be a little nicer to LeBron. Y'all going to have to.
But that was sort of understood from those players. Like, who is this rookie getting all of these covers, coming in here, already being anointed the chosen one? That's bold. Caitlin Clark obviously doesn't have that tattoo. She didn't get the cover being the chosen one. But, like, there were parallels between the two, and LeBron did sort of get elevated on this pedestal.
And not a single person, Gary, at the time was imploring all of the NBA vets to fall to their knees and bloodlet and bend the knee to the chosen one and praise him and love him and adore him. This is only women that get this. I'm tired of it. Like, here's my thing, you guys. What else? Who are these girls? Who are these girls that are hating on Caitlin Clark? Are you just combing through Twitter? Because that is a cesspool. I mean, Twitter is horrible. If you're critical of Caitlin Clark, like if you say, hey, she needs to cut down on those 10 turnovers, which I said before, I had some dude on my Instagram say, like, you black stop talking about this white princess. This is literally what social media is. Stop acting like because you see some randos on Twitter knocking Caitlin Clark, all girls are against her. Like, what else are these women supposed to do? Fawn over her? Fangirl over her? Bend the knee? Kiss the ring? Like, what do you want from them? They're not being petty. They're not trash. Like, who are you talking about? Where? When? What? Because the one person that got the most hate was Diana Taurasi, who said it during the national championship that a wake-up call was coming for Caitlin, which we've seen just through 5 games. She then, last week after Caitlin's first couple of games, was like, yeah, man, this is all I meant, was that, like, these women are really good and it's going to take some time to make an impact at this level. And she said at the time, however, Caitlin's going to be just fine. She's going to be fantastic in this league. It's just going to take some time. She even said that. So what are you talking about? Please, like, stop with this just, like, generalization of women hating on Caitlin Clark. Where? And stop making it out to be as though she's some ponytailed princess. Caitlin Clark became the greatest college basketball player of all time, men or women, not because people fawned over her and coddled her and caressed and protected, because she got her in the gym and worked hard. She was better as a senior than she was as a freshman because of hard work, because of gym time, because of working on the things that she needed to work on. Like, what are we doing? I'm sick of this. Y'all stop it. We cannot, every time the girl plays a game, she got 40 games, guys. She got 35 more games. We are not every single game going to revisit and retread this same tired rhetoric that all these girls are hating on her and they need to be thankful. They have been. Sure. They've said it time and time and time again. You want the girl every single time she walks out onto the court? What are we supposed to do? You want them all to give Caitlin their firstborn? Like, what are you looking for? They're still competitors, bruh. And it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing because if this was the men and you just watched a bunch of other dudes fawn over someone all the time, and every single time they were at the press conference or were asked about Caitlin, if they were like, oh, we're so grateful, we love her so much. If that was men, you'd call them weak. That would be a soft move. Where's your competition? We hate that LeBron is homies with the Banana Boat crew. We talk about it all the time. Where's the animus that used to be in the NBA when they really hated each other? Now they're all friends. It's so boring. We hate it. But with girls, with women, you want them to do what? You want them to do a cheer circle around her? What are you looking for? I'm so Tired of it. It just makes no sense to me. And I'm tired that we keep giving it so much energy. And I'm tired of it being people who are not in this circle or space at all who suddenly have all these opinions about how these women need to treat Caitlin Clark. What do you want from them? They want to beat her because she's not on their team. Isn't that how it's supposed to be? Yeah. Y'all stop it. We already know she's transformational. They've all said it. How many times do they gotta say it?
Damn it, LeBron. I hope you caught every single word. You too, Chuck. And you better have written Elle back when she texted you.
It's so insulting to Caitlin Clark, dude. It's so insulting to her. Yeah, it is so insulting to her.
I will say initially I was like, well, maybe there's points where those sort of examples are being presented. But like this last week, I haven't seen anything. So I'm like, are we only giving it, we're only giving it air because of, 2 sound clips that we've got from LeBron and from Chuck? Because I haven't really seen anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I haven't really seen much.
These girls. What girls? Please start naming names.
The fatigue has set in a little bit, right? Yeah.
Stop. Like full stop. Because what I wanted to do, instead of addressing this for the 50th time, was shout out 2 people in the W. Because again, I think the biggest thing is the spotlight that has been shown not only on Caitlin, but on all the rookies, and that it is cascading on everyone. All of these players who have been contributing at a high level in the WNBA. Like shout out to Kalia Copper. She became just the 2nd player in WNBA history to have back-to-back games of 35 plus points. And the Mercury went into Las Vegas and beat a team that only lost twice at home, beat them without 2 of their biggest names on. They don't have Brittany Griner. And they're still winning. Shout out to her. In that same game yesterday with the Storm, while we're reacting to like what Caitlin Clark wasn't able to do or was able to do, shout out to Jewel Lloyd. She became just the 2nd player in Storm history with at least 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. The other being Brianna Stewart. Like, shout out to some of these other women. Instead, we just spend all of this time like griping and contextualizing how we need to like be nicer to Caitlin Clark. Like, oh my God, you guys, it's gotta stop, bruh. For sure. She's doing very well. She has every single game gotten better and better. And like, that's enough. That's enough. And that's what everybody has said. Yeah. So while you're here and while you're paying attention to the W, take your own advice. Take your own advice. Pay attention to the W, because Caitlin Clark's not the only one in the W. And I promise you, at some point, even for her, she'd be like, y'all, leave me alone. You all are putting the target on her back.
This is OD.
You're putting the target on her back by consistently making her some victim. Yeah. She's not a victim of her circumstance. She is a woman who has carried immense pressure incredibly well, but you all keep putting more pressure on her by claiming that everyone's out to get her. It's not the truth, and it is so freaking insulting to the W. And after that, we'll come back and talk a little NBA. You know, the thing that y'all are supposed to be talking about. Hey, Shouty.
What it do?
It's your birthday. We gonna party like the Elle Duncan Show comes out every Monday and Thursday, because it does. Also on television on E2 every Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m.
Your program.
Check us out, Shardy, and tell everybody about us as well, because we like to grow the audience. That's what we like to do. Man, I thought I needed a shot of espresso, but I'm 38 hot.
Hey, you are fired up. You fired up.
The testosterone is pumping through my veins.
If you have a testosterone guy, would you mind linking me his info?
Need a little. I think that you're good on the HGH, Gary. It's,
What?
The gains are there. Got a lot of pimples on your back, though.
Need to be a couple more. You talking about my back knee? Don't worry, I have Proactive for that. It's a 3-step process.
Let's talk a little NBA.
Let's do that.
We saw
the cooked.
Yeah,
it's over.
You think it's what?
It's a wrapperoni.
Shut up.
Game 1 loss at home to Luka, and he didn't even have a good game. And Anthony Edwards hasn't had a good game in the last couple. I know that they won in Denver to get to this.
Yeah.
But like, it's cooked. It's over.
You didn't learn your lesson from the last series where we were like, it's cooked for Denver, and then Denver gets back in it and it's like, it's cooked for the Timberwolves. Denver's activated. Like, that's not necessarily true.
I think the thing about that is while Denver has their own, white knight in Nikola Jokic, okay, Luka Doncic is different. Kyrie Irving is different. And this 1-2 punch in the backcourt is exactly positioned and staged and performing like I think a big two should, right? While Luka was trying to get his rhythm right in the first half because he absolutely was cheeks.
Yeah.
It was Kyrie Irving,
Yeah.
who actually basically got challenged by Ant-Man, who was coming off that 22-year-old high, be like, yo, I'm about to put the clamps down on Kyrie. And Kyrie was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
You are. And he had like all of his points in the first half. He's like, get some of this.
Kyrie scored 24 of his 30 points in the first half, so he could buy a little time for Doncic to sort of find his rhythm. But again, it was really funny when he joined TNT, because that's the thing about Ant. Like, we love Ant-Man.
Love that.
We played it on the show when he was like, Kyrie, I'm coming for you. You're my assignment, and I already got it. And Kyrie, like the rest of us, was like, why y'all got to bring me up?
For real.
Kyrie, you at home minding your business the other night.
Yeah, what about it?
You with your beautiful family just chilling, probably having a nice meal, and then the young fella says, I got Kyrie. So, and you said, excuse me?
Yeah.
And he said it again. He said, I got Kyrie.
Yeah.
That's the most aggressive you've been in a long time.
Yes, sir.
I know that had to irk you a little bit.
Well, use it as a motivation. You know, when I was sitting at home and I saw it, I was like, it's just a nod of respect, and then also I knew what type of game it was going to be for Game 1 and also for the rest of the series. So you're right. I was at home with my family watching Game 7.
You just minding your own business.
And then Ant comes out and says, I got Kyrie, but also that's a no fear mentality, and that's why we love Ant.
Okay, first of all, let me side note very quickly say, nobody since JJ Redick has turned his reputation around better than Kyrie Irving. Like, that dude, to me, that dude, when he was described last year as a contrarian without a cause, I was like, yeah, that sounds right. Like, it was always like, we already know he's one of the best basketball players on the planet, but it was always everything else with Kyrie that it was like, just shut up, right? Just like, stop talking. This year, he's done such an amazing job of just like keeping it on the court, focusing on the things that matter. Like, and now, you know, it's like people are sort of actively rooting for Kyrie Irving. So anyway, he comes out, he does that. The one thing that is missing from that sound that I thought was a little bit interesting was that he talked about Anthony Edwards looking gassed, you know, and like Karl Anthony Towns said it. Anthony Edwards said it. Like, they were tired. They had a tough Game 7. They turned back around a couple of days later. They have to face this Mavs team who had a little bit more rest. But Kyrie said something to the effect of like, you know, hopefully Ant will get some rest. And I was like, and play better? I don't think that's what you want, bro. I don't think you want Ant to play better. But yeah, they win the game. 108-105, take Game 1. You think it's done?
I think it's a wrap. Luka's going to get hot. Again, they took Game 1, and the difference between the Timberwolves Nuggets series was that the Timberwolves, they were able to get their wins on the road to start the series out of the gate against the Nuggets. And then obviously Denver rattled off 3 straight, and it was weird, and then Minnesota came back. But I just think the way that this Mavericks team is constructed, they have a deeper roster. To everything they did to tank last season to get Luka the assistance that he needed is actually paying off and paying dividends. And to that Kyrie point, like, everybody's rooting for him. Do you know how hard it is to, even for the TNT crew, to get a player to go anywhere but his locker or the sideline to do a post-game interview? This dude had to ascend a flight of stairs to get to this set, man. So Kyrie's in a good mood, and that is bad news.
Yeah.
That is terrible news for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Kyrie Irving is still the best player I've ever seen with my own 2 eyes handle a basketball.
Yeah.
He's a freaking magician, and he's only going to heat up. Forget it. This series is over.
You're going to be very quick a prediction because you will be in Boston tonight for Hoop Stream Thursday night, Game 2 with the Celtics and the Pacers.
Come on.
The Pacers, as we get ready to do a segment called Fumble the Bag, it kind of feels like that's exactly what they did.
What's the bigger loss? Fever losing to Seattle, or the Pacers the way they lost to the Celtics?
The Celtics, because this is Game 5 of the season, and this is certainly much bigger. Of course, the Celtics will play in Game 2 tonight, and so let's just get right to Fumble the Bag, because something very relatable happened to Celtics fans. I mean, anyone that knows me knows I'm not crying for anybody from Boston about, but there was something very relatable that happened. Some Celtics fans decided this game's over.
Sure,
it's not happening. The Pacers are going to win. Womp womp womp.
Weird.
Just like, can't believe, I'm gonna do it in my Boston accent. I can't believe they ruined this at the Garden. They came to the Garden and they didn't even show up. We're getting out of here, man. Let's meet us over at whatever.
That's Tits. That's Tavern in the Square.
Oh yeah, Tavern in the Square.
Yeah,
That's
what they call
definitely
it.
yeah.
I've eaten many a meals there.
So have I. These are the fans that left the Garden early and then had to watch the game through the window of a restaurant because they had already left. Did they fumble the bag by giving up on their team too quickly?
They did 100%. I would say unequivocally anybody who leaves a game early fumbles the bag. You run the risk of that. But specifically in a sports city like Boston to do that when you've had miracle stuff happen in the playoffs, in the postseason, and right now for Boston, the Celtics is all they have. So to leave any time early is 100% fumbling the bag-a-roni.
So this happened.
It's V bad.
This happened to me with the Braves game. I can't remember who they were playing. It was many years ago. And in Atlanta, the ultimate goal is always to beat traffic. So, like, yes,
Correct.
while you want your team to win, you're also like, man, but if it's a blowout, I can't get out of here early and beat traffic. So the Braves were down like 6 or 7 runs in the 8th inning. And I'm like, man, let's get out of here so we can beat traffic. And there is nothing worse in the world than when you are leaving, especially an open air, stadium, like a baseball stadium, and you're walking out, and all of a sudden you hear, wow.
Oh, yeah. Something's going down.
And I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe the Braves hit a home run, whatever. You see the fireworks. I'm like, okay. But another 100 yards go by. I'm like, what is going on?
What game did you
So I start like
leave?
running to the car. Get in the car just in time to hear, and the Braves complete the biggest comeback in franchise history. 7 runs in the the bottom of the 9th to beat the whoever they were playing. And I left early. They ran off like 2 home runs. There was a granny in there. It was like one of the greatest finishes like of all time. And my was enjoying it from the car and watching the fireworks explode over Turner Field.
But
Beat traffic.
you beat traffic, and that's all that matters. Especially in Atlanta, you got something called the spaghetti strainer. You were
Spaghetti
talking
junction.
to
Spaghetti
Amina's mom
junction.
about. Okay, but had you stayed, you don't have this story to tell
Fair.
on the Elle Duncan Show.
Fair, that's
and
all that
now
matters.
you can recount this story about you dropping the bag.
Speaking of telling stories, did Charles Barkley fumble the
Oh.
bag when he told Anthony Edwards, I ain't been to Minnesota in probably 20 years? Because, of course, this has been great marketing for Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Edwards responds, bring your ass, right? And now if you type in bring your ass,
Stand by.
Minnesota tourism pops up, right? Like even the governor had a statement where the first letter of every sentence spelled out, bring your ass, okay? Here's the thing, though. Charles Barkley was very much in Minnesota in 2019 when Auburn was in the Final
Do you
Four.
know how the internet works, Chuck? Bring ya.
Did he fumble the bag of public perception, or was this just much more of a fun moment for Minnesota?
Minnesota Tourism Guide.
Yeah.
BringIt.com.
BringYa.com.
Look at that. We are journalists, and we strive to provide you factual information. I will say, though, he didn't drop the bag. Man, listen, we all get paid to embellish and to tell stories and whatnot, man. Chuck is just doing his thing, and that's why he wins Emmys on Emmys on Emmys. For Minnesota, this is just another indication to me that we are now getting millennials in positions of power. They are in charge of social media accounts.
Yeah.
They are in charge
Oh, yeah.
of .com domains.
Yeah.
And this is just a millennial being like, how can I make this into content?
You know, one of my
Shout out
favorite.
to millennials.
one
Can't
of-
buy a house, but
Correct. You have horrible credit, but you guys own the internet.
speak for yourself.
One of my personal mantras is never let the truth get in the way of a good story. So
Same.
there you go, Chuck. Well done. When we come back on the Elle Duncan Show, we're just making power moves, boss moves.
Straight up.
We will be joined by one of the most powerful women in all of sports, Dany Garcia, loading up.
Man,
Let's
her.
Okay, we are back on the Elle Duncan Show with Gary Streisky. I promised you power moves,
Yeah, that's right.
boss
You keep
moves.
delivering.
Yeah, correct. You know what I mean?
I want to see what kind of contacts you got in your phone because you keep making it happen, Captain.
I don't dance. I make money moves. You know what I mean? And so does this next guest. And I'm so intrigued. It's the first thing I'm going to ask her. When people are so accomplished that they have like 37 different titles, this person that we're going to bring on is the founder of GSTQ, the CEO and chair of the Garcia companies. She oversees a whole bunch of brands like Terramana Tequila, which is fantastic, by the way. It always makes
Listen,
an appearance at my
and
parties.
you are a high judge of that.
Yeah, I mean, Under Armour, Salt and Straw, the UFL is the first female majority owner of a professional U.S. sports league ever. Dany Garcia is on the show.
Come on,
Dany, how do you like
Dany Garcia in the building?
How do you like introduce yourself? Like if like someone's been under the rock and they don't know you, like which one do you lead with?
I try and get a sense of where I'm at. So if I'm sort of in entertainment, I'll lead with, I produced 24 films. What do? I have Netflix most watched film ever that I produce. So depending upon where I'm at, if it's sports, I go with UFL. If it's a restaurant, I might go with Terramana and Salt and Straw. And if it's anything to do with fitness, it's Zoa Energy and Under Armour and being a professional bodybuilder.
Can you imagine?
Where am I located?
Real underachiever joining the program today, Dany Garcia.
You should really
Real
try harder.
underachiever.
You should really try a little bit harder, Dany.
What's funny to me, though, is if, like, Dany, anybody asks you for a business card, and you're like, I can't fit all of this on a business. Do you have a phone? I can give you a QR code.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a QR. Scan this. It's going to take you to the internet, and that's where you can find any information that you might need.
That's true. This is why I don't have business cards.
There it
is. I'm pretty sure Dany Garcia is well past business cards because, yes, it would look like a CVS receipt at this point. Dany, a lot to talk to you about, but I want to talk about your documentary that just came out on ESPN called My Name is Dany Garcia, and it came out in March. Had an opportunity to watch it because I'm just always so impressed by you and just the rooms that you navigate in, many of the rooms that you just laid out. I remember a quote that I wrote down here about you talking about you didn't approach sports because you wanted to win necessarily, but because you wanted to just get better. And I'm just wondering how that notion applies in your mind to all of the business ventures that you're a part of.
It's a core tenet, right? The especially at this point in my life, the try and to get better was with the hopes that symptomatically the win comes. But when I started, that was specifically an episode with my dad where the first swim meet I ever had, I came in last and my dad was like, "You came in last?" And I was like, "Is that a thing?" I was like, "You come in last," And so I was like, okay, whoa, I'm really far apart from winning. Tomorrow I'm going to get better. Let me just try. All right, let me just try. There's no entitlement. It's not like I was naturally gifted athlete. I grew into become a very strong athlete over time. And so that gave me so much permission that when I would have, huge aspirations, which I've had most of my life, and there was such a disparity between where I was growing up or even the people around me, what they thought of me. I was very much the odd child. And what I wanted to do, the only thing I could do was let me try. I'm going to try. And I became really, really good at being comfortable with not knowing things and having faith in my ability to absorb and know. And then the wins became symptomatic. So I didn't have to go and be like, yeah, I'm going to crush it. I'm going to win. Sure. I'm going to do everything till I get to a point of winning, and I will have earned that win.
I love that. Like the hard work, winning is the byproduct of the hard work. And I love that in particular coming from you, Dany, because I do think one of the things that is a pitfall of women is that we always want to check every single box before we even approach it. It's like we feel like we need to be above reproach. We've got to know every single thing before we'll even apply for a job. When men have this sort of irrational confidence that they can learn on the job, that they will get better with time, that they'll absorb information. So I love you dropping that pearl of wisdom, which is that you just try and you get better and you learn and you change course, and like that's okay. It's okay to approach something from a position of needing to learn.
I like failure bringing winning too. Like you didn't have expectations other than to get better. Want to sort of pivot on the expectations that you've had this year going into the merger with the USFL and the XFL, of course, it being the UFL. Last week on SportsCenter, we were able to, talk with Hakeem Butler, who's played in the NFL and now he's enjoying his time at the UFL. And what are your thoughts on what the season has been thus far and the vision you laid out to start things off?
I'm so glad Hakeem was with you. He's so great. I have so many incredible athletes bring so much to the game. I'm so pleased with this year. It was a big deal to bring two leagues later in the season because, we have go through legal hurdles that we needed to get approval from. I think when we started the season, we were maybe 60 days old. I mean, we're talking very, very young. So this year was about, did we have improved gameplay? Were our athletes feeling and playing and enjoying what this new league is together, since there's now the USFL and XFL are now conferences, right, under one overarching league. And did we deliver on the ratings? Did we deliver on our digital reach? And right now, year over year, we're up 38%. Our digital reach has just completely blown away anything that we did jointly together last year. And the XFL had an extremely successful season digitally. So I'm so pleased to see that these two pillars, especially the broadcast side, is a really, really important aspect to make all of our partners comfortable. It says, okay, we're here to grow. So it actually has a lot of, my try element where it's like, we're going to get better this season, and then we're going to get better next season, and we're going to continue to get better. And we're building a base for long-term success. I mean, from the athletes' point of view, and the number of athletes last year from the XFL and the USFL who were invited to camps, the quality of athlete that we have now. I remember walking out at camp in the beginning of the year and seeing the bodies as compared to the bodies I had seen the previous year, and how large everyone was, which they've always been, but it was just such a distinctive difference over the quality of athlete that we had. And it was so exciting. So, are we need to get better? Will we get better? Well, that's just part of the UFL, but I am so proud of the team. I'm proud of the coaches. I'm proud of our athletes. Really, really happy with where we're at today.
My one follow-up there is, do you almost watch these games and these players almost as like a proud big sister, hoping that, hey, this might just be a stop for you, and then you can regain that form and get that call to play on a Sunday, right? You almost want them not to stay too long and get comfortable. You want them to get that call to the next level so they can continue to pursue their football dreams, at the NFL level.
I have multiple responsibilities. The first is I have a fiduciary responsibility over the game, the entire game, and the athletes. So for me, what is best for them has to be best for my league, right?
Sure.
So it all combines. So I've also, each one of my players have heard me say this because I've spoken to each of them in their teams. I said, we're setting you up to not have your greatest moments, but to be a great moments that set up greater moments in your life. And that's how I see ourselves. And that's very different conversations, I think, than what people hear in sports leagues. But who they are, if they're giving me their best now because they know there's even better to come, that's a great moment. That's great play. That's dynamic play, right? And since I own all 8 teams, I need to have dynamic play. That's,
right.
I live.
No
I'm
favorites.
rooting for dynamic play
Correct.
on both sides.
Yeah, that's what you want.
It does get emotional. It does get, when I see them out there, I'm also an owner who, is on the field and batting the guys and in a huddle. And, not sure why more owners aren't like that, but being with these athletes, our coaches, it's fantastic. Football is fantastic. I love it. I love sports.
I want to wrap up with this, Dany, because you talk about long-term investment. You talk about dynamic play. I just went on a total rant about sort of the narrative and rhetoric around Caitlin Clark. And we are seeing the fruits of the labor from the long-term investment of people who invested in women's sports a long time ago. And we're seeing that come to fruition now. And obviously, Caitlin Clark is helping drive that change. But I'm just interested in you weighing in on this idea or this narrative that when it comes to women in particular, if you are critical or if you don't fangirl or if you don't fawn, you are somehow bitter, petty. I just like, what is your thought on sort of how we address competition and how different it is when we talk about it surrounding men and when we talk about it surrounding women?
Sure. I think it comes down to, and by the way, this is a great dialogue. I can't wait to hear your rant too. So I'm looking.
Yes.
But this is a great dialogue. So it's a matter of, just in my opinion, it's, the delicacy and the chops, right? Who has the range? New female athletes, and finally having this moment in time. It's such a new space. It's almost as if the permission there to go ahead and say to whether you're critiquing, whether you have an opinion that's not specifically fangirl, it's not there yet. The audience, the consumer is not comfortable. It's not there. There has been so many wrongs that haven't been righted that it's, I can imagine in, 3 to 5 years, because now everything is moving so much more quickly, that there's going to be all of that space. But I do understand that right now, when the wins have been so few and far in between, there's not a lot of space. But I would say a female athlete, myself as a female athlete, we can carry the weight of those opinions. We can handle both sides. Fans, they may not be able to because they haven't been with us and we're representing something different. But I have had criticisms way down. I mean, I'm in difficult rooms. If I can't handle that bandwidth, not only can I not be an athlete, I can't be a great leader. And these women, these athletes, they can handle it. Now, should it be crass? Should it be rude? Should we have ridiculous sports journalists asking the stupid questions? No, they should get the. But can they handle the full range of what sports is? Sports is not about the win and the loss. It's everything. And it's opinions and it's sitting on the couch and being like, you don't know what the hell you do. It's just, that's what sports. So yeah, I know that these women are strong and I know they can handle it. I think the fan base is probably going to need to get used to it.
Thank you, Dany. Thank you. We don't need to be coddled. We're not pretty princesses. These are elite athletes. Like, you think she gives a damn if someone... Okay, thank you, Dany.
For the record, Dany, I was on your and Elle's side, just so you know.
Co-signed by Dany Garcia. That's all I need. Dany, thank you so much for joining the show. Good luck for the playoffs, for the rest of the way, for the UFL. We will be watching. We are so appreciative for you dropping those pearls of wisdom, and hopefully you'll come back. Come back, please. Come back.
I would love to. And it was so great to be with both of you. Thank you for inviting me. Have a great day. I can't wait to see that rant.
Heck yeah, that rant is coming. We'll be back with more on the Elle Duncan Show after this.
Thanks, Dany.
We back on the Elle Duncan
What
Show.
up?
You know what else is coming back?
Everything.
Because apparently NBC is going to get the rights to the NBA again.
What up, childhood?
And they're going to do the round ball rock song.
I don't know if it's licensed.
Oh,
You get it.
Oop,
You get it.
And so it got us thinking, because while some people
That's
are like,
dangerous.
hey, man, why are you bringing John Tesh off the shelf? Why don't you have I don't know, Future or somebody jump on a new NBC?
We don't need, no.
But we're old and washed and we like nostalgia.
Take it easy.
So what are some
We're
other things?
seasoned and matured.
Sure. We've been marinating a long time.
Yeah.
What are some other things from the 90s and 2000s that we would want to bring back and dust off the shelf?
My childhood.
I'm throwing one out there right now.
Hit me.
Blockbuster.
Make it a Blockbuster night.
There was just nothing like Blockbuster.
Excitement.
Mine are really like store driven. My husband brought up a great one. Bruh, where the are the Toys R Us? That was canon for children. Like, it was the
bankruptcy
greatest.
heaven.
But like, bring that back. A whole entire giant department store filled with toys. Like, what an incredible thing that this generation of children will never understand. The I'm a big kid now, the giraffe, like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, we never had the money to go to Toys R Us. I got all my toys and electronics at PX. All right, so this is a Toys
Sears
is
guy?
you. All right, that's you. We didn't even have Sears money. Toys R Us was like an aspirational thing.
It really was.
For me and my family. I was like, well, maybe one day.
Yeah.
One day, Dad.
That was KB Toys
Dad
for
gets
us. They were a
promotion.
little more.
Ooh, in the mall.
Yeah, they were a little more.
Oh, you're talking about a mall, girl?
Yeah.
Please, you better watch out. We didn't have none of that.
What about you? What do you want to bring back?
Surge, the cola.
Oh, God.
It was so.
Surge.
And also, this is when every young boy remembers when he became a man. And I remember watching my first episode of MTV Spring Break The Grind.
Oh, yes.
1998.
Yes.
I was 10. I was impressionable. And let me tell you what else is making an impression. All right? That show was awesome. I don't even remember the premise. But my parents were at work. It was summer break. My sister was doing her thing in her room, whatever. And I was just watching Spring Break The Grind. And I was like, this is awesome. I can't wait to get grown and go to Cabo. I've never been to Mexico, but...
You watched that and you were inspired to lose your virginity at 23 years old. That's adorable.
Yep. It was the long play.
They really used to get away with some stuff. I mean, I just remember being like a kid and like the commercials for like Girls Gone Wild. I'm like, we're just out here doing this. Girls are just flashing everybody.
They would literally like pour water on the people walking up and down the runway. Like, this is very, very, very not great. Very not great.
Okay, so let's maybe not bring that one back.
It's too late.
We'll come back on the other side. Okay.
No, wait, give us another one.
Oh, well, I was told to wrap it up.
Oh, for
okay,
real?
one last thing.
Okay.
Can we please bring back brand new Outkast songs? Signed someone from Atlanta and the culture. Okay. Now are we going to break? Yes.
Elle, before we leave, we forgot the best thing to bring back from the late 90s, early 2000s. Technology has evolved in such a way, and we are so grateful for it. But what the hell happened to picture-in-picture? Watch this. Ready? Boom.
Oh, yes.
Two things at once.
Yes. Yeah.
What the hell?
We've been robbed of picture.
Yeah, where did it go? We even had a button for it.
Yeah, your remote just said pip, and it was just perfect. You could watch, Dateline like you want to watch.
Yes, on the main TV. What the hell?
Yeah, bring it back, man. I actually like it this way.
This isn't bad.
Yeah.
It's actually...
In fact, let's just do this for the whole show. Just have me big and have Gary little.
I wouldn't even be mad at that because then you can't zoom into the aforementioned back knee because I'm on a cycle right now and it's the Elle Duncan Show and I'm just sort of the guy in the corner.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't hear anything that you said because you're too small. I can't see you down there.
Well, generally the picture-in-picture box isn't the one that's got audio anyway. It's normally you. But I love picture-in-picture. Bring it back, please. Manufacturers of televisions watching.
Hey, we're not going to have a show on Memorial Day because, we're going to barbecue and do ratchet things with our friends, but we will see you next Thursday where undoubtedly there'll be some conversation about should the girls be nicer to Caitlin Clark?
I can't do this again, Elle. I can't do this again. Take me off my small box.